A very warm welcome and thank you for joining me. The mission of this channel is to share my journey as I delve into translating ancient mysteries. My interest in the Chi-Rho symbol peaked when I realized two Greek and two Latin letters, when read clockwise on the oldest rock-carved Chi-Rho symbols, spelled Rosa, until the Roman sub-Rosa meant secrecy. Two letters from the Phoenician alphabet, the origin of the English alphabet via Latin, were then used as decoding keys to translate words from the Chi-Rho symbol. The Phoenician letter Ta, which is an X, represents our English T, and the letter Tet or Teth, which is an X inside a circle, represents TH. These two keys revealed many words from the Chi-Rho symbol, such as astro, which is Greek and Latin for star, and its anagram rotus, Latin for wheel or to rotate. Interestingly enough, another Latin anagram, ortus, appears with the message risen, birth, or sunrise. The Phoenician letters Ta and Teth equate to the Greek letters Tau and Theta, which symbolize life and death. The Chi-Rho symbol revealed many other astonishing secrets leading up to this video. Suddenly it became apparent that two diverse interests of mine are related. The mysteries of Mithras, the Roman god of light who is piercing the bull, and the misunderstood Greek Hellenistic astrology chart, the Thema Mundi. The Mundi displays the supposed position of the 7 visible planets and a horoscopic birth chart for the beginning of the world. These two cornerstone mysteries surprisingly merged into one comprehensive religion, marrying the symbolic message found throughout my videos, binding of heaven and earth. Inadvertently, Constantine the Great's Chi-Rho vision in the sky in 312 AD changed the future direction of world religion, and this video will take it back to its roots. When this ancient Chi-Rho symbol is rotated, as instructed by the word rotus, with the TH key applied, it spells the word Mithras. The two mutual creators of astrology, the Egyptian god Thoth and the Greek god Hermes, had merged into the entity Hermes Trismegistus, who professed, "If thou but settest foot on this path, thou shalt see it everywhere." And now I see this truth everywhere. And after you view this video, you will see it too. The 5 Latin words of the Rota Sator square, profiled in my last video, harbored hidden diagrams that were easily revealed. If you connect all the A's, O's, and T's with lines across the square, the zodiac wheel appears. A circle can then be drawn around the outer perimeter. And if you connect all the R's, S, and T's with lines, the Chi-Rho symbol appears. However, this is also the Wheel of Fortune symbol. The clue is that the Wheel of Fortune is to be superimposed on the zodiac wheel. To complete the Rota Sator square diagram, you connect the inner E's with a circle to represent the moon, with the Earth located in the center for a geocentric perspective. If you take out the zodiac wheel and Wheel of Fortune lines, all the Sun-Earth motions are encompassed by the word rotus, to rotate. The Sun is in motion along the ecliptic, its path as we see it from Earth. The moon is in motion around the Earth, and the Earth is rotating on its axis. The Latin word Sator in Rota Sator relates it to the Roman god Saturn, and the winter solstice is 3-day Saturnalia festival, held each year from December 22nd to December 25th. To the ancients, the 3-day pause in the motion of the sun, during this transition time from solstice to equinox, signified the drama of death to rebirth. This is the fulcrum time of year, going from darkness into the growing light. Jesus is just the last of a long line of prophets and messiahs, born of a virgin that had the December 25th birthday to symbolize resurrection. These prophets are hundreds of years older than Jesus. The metaphorical rebirth of death to life and life to death during the winter solstice was played out in the wild and crazy Saturnalia festival. So I questioned what was going on during the summer solstice. It turned out Saturn, the Roman god for the measure of time, is intimately connected with Fors Fortuna, the Roman goddess of chance and fortune. Saturn was honored for 3 days after the December 22nd winter solstice, and the Roman goddess Fors Fortuna was venerated on June 24th, 3 days after the June 21st summer solstice. The veneration was to commemorate the spinning of her Rota Fortuna, Wheel of Fortune, to met out change, fortune, prosperity, karma, and fate. The name Fors Fortuna translates into something akin to chance fortune, emphasizing the capricious nature of fate and the randomness of some events that are out of a person's control. Fortuna is known as the goddess who turns the wheel of the year that reflects the seasonal changes caused by the tilt of the earth, and was originally the ancestral goddess of agriculture. The Greeks refined the ancient omen-based astrology practices of the Egyptians and Babylonians into tropical Hellenistic astrology by adding two very unique features to the horoscopic chart: the ascendant, known as the rising sign, and the 12 houses. The ascendant is the zodiac sign that is rising over the eastern horizon at dawn, at the exact day, time, and place of birth. The position of the visible planets, the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, are frozen into the houses of the chart that they are wandering through at the time. To astrologers, relationships between signs, houses, and planets in a birth chart enhance the understanding of certain aspects of a person's character, motives, and desires. As the planets move along the ecliptic, the path of the sun, interpretations of your horoscope chart can flag auspicious times to act for the best possible outcomes, and inauspicious times when impetuous free will has the ability to throw a monkey wrench into the gears of life that can cause reversals of fortune. The horoscopic charts of astrology do not necessarily tell your fortune, future, or fate. The Renaissance philosopher and political dissident Machiavelli had the best interpretation of the role of Fortuna when he said, "Fortune may be the arbiter of one half of our actions, but she still leaves us the other half, or perhaps a little less, to our free will." Before we get started, a brief review is in order to understand the solstices and equinoxes, the axial rhythmic tilts of the earth, timekeeping, and how tropical Hellenistic astrology works. Solstices and equinoxes are seasonal changes of the guard from dark to light, light to dark. A solar year is 365 days. However, an actual year is 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, and 46 seconds, are 365.25 days, thus requiring leap year adjustments of 1 day every 4 years. A solar day is 23 hours and 56 minutes, or approximately 24 hours for the Earth to rotate once on its axis. The summer solstice falls around June 20th to the 22nd on the Gemini-Cancer cusp, when the sun is directly over the Tropic of Cancer and our sun reaches its highest point in the sky. The winter solstice falls on the Sagittarius-Capricorn cusp around December 21st to the 23rd, when our sun is directly over the Tropic of Capricorn and is at its lowest point in the sky. At the time of both solstices, our sun appears to stand still for 3 days while shifting back towards the equinoxes. In reality, the sun never stops moving, but from our perspective, its motion appears to cease during this transition time. During the spring and fall equinoxes, our sun is rising due east and setting due west, while our sun appears directly over Earth's equator at sunrise. At that time, the Earth is upright in the sky, causing a day of equal light and dark. In ancient times, the Egyptians thought that calendar was based on the heliacal rising of the brightest star in the sky, Sirius. The Egyptian and ancient Greek solar calendars began after the summer solstice, when Sirius, also known as the dog star, appears right before the rising of our sun. Sirius dawns their new year. The yearly regularity of the heliacal rising of Sirius is equal to the yearly period of 365.25 days of our sun. This Sirius-based calendar avoids the need to adjust the calendar with the conventional leap year, enabling exact day keeping. Sirius is the faithful dog that is near the foot of Orion the hunter, who is famous for leading the charge towards the Taurus the bull constellation. Surprisingly, the ancient religious happenings of interest occur over an extended period of time leading up to the culmination of the heliacal rising of Sirius. Sirius disappears in the night sky for 70 days, while it journeys in the glare of the sun during the day and is rising and setting at the same time as our sun. The eventual heliacal rising of Sirius basically means Sirius comes out of its 70 days of hiding and visibly begins to rise over the eastern horizon right before our sun rises. This strange behavior is one of many anomalies Sirius displays. Warning, you are now entering into the bizarre world of Sirius, located on the edge of the misty cluster of the Milky Way. While researching the Wheel of Fortune, I naturally drew my attention to the cornerstone chart of the Thema Mundi, the horoscopic birth chart for the inception of our world. On the moon day, the ascendant and moon are rising over the eastern horizon at 15 degrees Cancer, which is around July 7th, about 2 weeks after the summer solstice. It has all the visible planets lined up along the bottom of the chart at 15 degrees in the house they represent. However, the moon day chart has some discrepancies that has rendered it merely a mythical teaching tool. But in reality, the discrepancies disappear when the true purpose of the Thema Mundi is understood. The first question that immediately arises is, why is the ascendant at 15 degrees Cancer? Perhaps it makes sense to start the world at large in the female sign of mother, home, and hearth. But there is another logical underlying reason. An ascendant naturally conveys the presence of a sun dawning over the eastern horizon of the earth. However, the Thema Mundi has the sun positioned in its home sign of Leo. So logically, it suggests the presence of a second sun, second star. Therefore, I searched for a fixed star near 15 degrees Cancer and didn't have to look far. Sirius is at 14 degrees Cancer. At first, I thought this must be a mistake or some kind of strange coincidence, because fixed stars are only pseudo-fixed and slowly shift in the sky over the millenniums. The precession of the equinox theory calls it a wobble of the Earth's axis that has shifted the fixed stars by 24 degrees from the original 0 degrees on the spring equinox. Today, the Aries the Ram constellation is now technically in the Pisces constellation. The constellation locations are just visible placeholders, and where they're located makes no difference because the position of the equinoxes and solstices never changes on the tropical Hellenistic astrology chart. The equinoxes are on the horizontal Aries-Libra axis, and the solstices are on the vertical Cancer-Capricorn axis. In reality, the precession of the equinoxes is not entirely understood, but is believed to be caused by the rotational motion of the Earth along with the Sun and Moon's gravitational pulls, causing the axis of the Earth to circumscribe a 47-degree circle in the sky every 25,900 years, thus shifting the position of the fixed stars by approximately 1 degree every 72 years, or shifting one zodiac sign every 2,160 years. So why is Sirius at 14 degrees Cancer when it should have shifted into Gemini and moved in slow motion with the other fixed stars? It turns out that precession has little effect on the position of Sirius, and it remains relatively fixed through time in comparison to the other stars. The lack of Sirius's motion was derived from the observation that Sirius's distance from the solstices and equinoxes remains relatively the same over time despite precession. The Egyptians considered the fixed position of Sirius imperishable. Now, as mentioned, if Sirius is rising and setting with our sun in this 70-day hiatus from the night sky, it infers our sun is near the 15-degree point 2 on the Thema Mundi, and causes one to conclude that the Leo sun on the Thema Mundi is merely indicating it represents the Leo constellation. According to the Thema Mundi, the world came into being in the perfect storm configuration of 15 degrees Cancer on a new moon solar eclipse with the Earth aligned with our sun and moon. But as bizarre as this may seem, this solar eclipse includes Sirius on the far side of our sun, so it was an astonishing two-sun solar eclipse. The Mithras reliefs, found all over Europe, reinforce this revelation and is a great segue into the world of Mithras. On the border of this Mithras relief gives a subtle message of two stars, two suns. And in this relief, two stars on the tips on the crescent moon is another subtle indication that two suns and the moon are involved in an event. And as well on this relief, this has a not-so-subtle message of two stars, two suns. The arched cloud streaking through the upper part of this relief is depicting the Milky Way. Our sun is mingling far inside the Milky Way in an offshoot branch of the Sagittarius arm called the Orion Spur. On the other hand, Sirius is on the outskirts of the Milky Way. Through time, the worship of Roman Mithras and their sun god Sol Invictus had blended into one with the light, but logic prevails that Sirius is actually the Roman deity Sol Invictus, the unconquerable sun. The unique journey of Sirius starts in the V-shaped constellation of Taurus the Bull, which falls between April 20th and May 20th. Intriguingly, the Taurus constellation is where distinctive boundaries merge, and a number of interesting happenings occur. The galactic plane of the Milky Way crosses through the northeast corner of the constellation. Additionally, the ecliptic and the celestial equator pass through Taurus. The ecliptic describes the sun's path as it's seen from Earth, and the celestial equator is the path the sun follows as the Earth tilts. From 4000 to 2000 BC, the spring equinox occurred in mid-Taurus. As with Sirius, the Taurus constellation disappears behind the glare of the sun from May to July. The 70-day death-to-life pilgrimage of Sirius, while hidden by our sun, is reenacted in the Mithrium caverns to play out the mysterious drama of life, death, and rebirth. As will be revealed, Mithras is not killing the sacred bull, but is piercing a gateway open in the Taurus the Bull constellation along the Taurus and Scorpio axis. It appears this bull-piercing concept goes way back in Egyptian history. The astronomical graphics of the ceiling of Senenmut's tomb, circa 1470 BC, shows their sun god Ra piercing Taurus the Bull. Other graphics on the ceiling are believed to represent Sirius and the constellations of Orion, Ursa Major of the Big Dipper, and Draco of the Circumpolar Serpent. In ancient Greek, the word Taurus comes from staros, which can mean cross or cross-shaped, from the letter tau, symbolizing life, resurrection, and immortality. The original X-shaped Phoenician letter ta, meaning mark or sign, was modified by the Greeks into tau, and over time staros became Taurus. However, staros in ancient Greek also means to impale or pierce with a stake. It appears Mithras is not killing the bull, but piercing through the veil of the universe to open stargates that are represented by the metaphorical sacrifice into the heart of the bull as it disappears in the sky. Through my journey, I repeatedly encountered the Phoenician letter wav or vav, meaning tent stake or hook, signifying to me anyway the binding of heaven and earth. Interestingly enough, this Phoenician letter is also found on a number of Viking runestones. Taurus is one of the oldest constellations, dating as far back as 3300 BC. The Egyptians believed the sacred bull of Taurus ushered in the renewal of life. Much later, Mithras became popular from the 1st century BC and lasted until apparently forced underground around the 5th century AD. It appears that Mithras wasn't a new idea, and the images of a bull, dog, lion, snake, and bird, as seen on the reliefs, are also part of another religion. Orphism traces back to the 6th century BC, and an image on the Orphic mosaics have very similar icons: bull, dog, lion, snake, and bird. Mithras and Orpheus have a striking resemblance, with both entities wearing the Phrygian hat of a freed slave. The tenets of Orphism believe that humans had a physical body as well as a divine spark of a soul. On many of the reliefs, a ray of light shoots from the sun to Mithras. In this mosaic, Orpheus is pointing a sharp tool at a bull, giving the similar message of Mithras piercing the bull. The first constellations identified were Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. It appears at least one contemporary society was well versed in some of Mithras' secrets. On December of 1909, members of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn published the Rider-Waite Tarot deck. In each corner of the Wheel of Fortune card, it displays the fixed zodiac signs that you see on the Mithras reliefs. Bull for Taurus, Lion for Leo, Eagle or Bird for Scorpio, and Divine Being for Aquarius. The Egyptian god Anubis is affixed to the wheel and represents the dog star Sirius, as Anubis is portrayed as a dog or a jackal. The story of Enoch and his journey to heaven also depicts such figures. Throughout each summer, Sirius aligns, conjuncts, and separates while interesting things are happening along the way. For example purposes, the following dates of events are based in the United States for the year of 2022. On July 4th, 2022, a Sirius alignment with our Sun occurred when the Earth was at its furthest point away from our Sun, which is called aphelion. Apo is Greek for away or from, and helion is Greek for the sun god Helios. Legends swirl that this is the opening of a Sirius gateway. From the end of June to mid-July, Sirius rises with our Sun at sunrise and is directly overhead with our Sun at noon. From our point of view, Sirius, our Sun, and Earth are in a straight line. Food for thought, the inception of the United States occurred on July 4th, 1776 by the Freemasons. A conjunction in this case implies a shorter than usual distance between Sirius and our Sun from our perspective on Earth. On July 23, 2022, which just happens to be on the Leo-Cancer cusp, Sirius and our Sun were the closest distance they could be to each other, and we're in a synchronized ballet of rising and setting together. According to the Romans, the dog days of summer occurred 2 weeks before and after the Sirius-Sun conjunction. Modern astrologers coined August 8th the opening of Lionsgate, marking the distinction of our Sun in Leo, and Sirius aligning with Orion's belt. However, Orion since early June had been hiding in the glare of our Sun, and around August 8th, Orion and the Taurus constellation made their annual return to the pre-dawn sky just in time to get into the Sirius action. On top of that, August 8th, or 8-8, are appealing numbers in numerology, which signify infinity. However, there is another reason for this infinity symbol. After an arduous, invisible journey, on August 12, 2022, the helical rising of Sirius occurred, and a minute or so after, our Sun rose behind it. Then Sirius began rising 4 minutes earlier each morning, as all fixed stars do, and started to separate from our Sun. From June 24th to August 13, 2022, while the synchronized dance between Sirius and our Sun is occurring, the visible planets lined up in the sky in what today is coined by modern astrologers the Parade of Planets. The Thema Mundi illustrates the pageantry of the Parade of Planets. Planets that go into this configuration supposedly display musica universalis, harmonic music of the spheres. Circa 500 BC, Pythagoras theorized that when the planets are separated at fixed intervals, their spacing is proportionate to the ratio of harmonic frequencies of music, and since the planets are in motion, they must make some kind of sound. If you've been watching my videos, I identified with this musical concept quite a while ago, and speculated that this was out of my league even with my background in classical guitar. Many other historical figures believed in the music of the spheres. Later, circa 1700 AD, the astronomer Johannes Kepler published his Harmonics Mundi, theorizing that the inaudible sounds could only be heard by the soul. On the other side of our life-giving Sun are two spiritual gateways beyond time. Circa 350 BC, Plato discussed his always world of the living cosmic X that was thought to correspond with his belief in heavenly gates for salvation and immortality of the soul. The celestial crossroads of heaven's gates, also known as the gates of avatars, occurs at 15 degrees of the fixed zodiac signs of Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius on the Hellenistic horoscopic charts. On the Thema Mundi, these sun-fueled energy gateways are on the cusp of Aries Taurus and Cancer Leo axis. The Silver Gate is believed to be the portal where the souls incarnate while descending into the physical plane from heaven as it passes through the gates of man to earth at the cusp of Aries and Taurus. And upon death, the Golden Gate ascension is through the gate of God for return to heaven at the cusp of Libra and Scorpio. And evidently the Cancer cusp renders the same such transformations. On these to and from journeys, the soul must cross the Milky Way and ecliptic. Since the Earth is inside the Milky Way, a person can view the center of our galaxy's black hole abyss on one side, and on the opposite direction, the edge of our galaxy's spiraling arms. To the Egyptians, the river Nile reflects the Milky Way's great river of light in the sky. Those born on these unique cusps are said to be divine teachers and are gifted to fulfill special purposes on earth. The silver and gold heavenly earthly keys to the kingdoms are on the Vatican coat of arms. It appears Christianity usurped the gate keys, forced the Mithras religion into hiding, and whitewashed the inconvenient truth of the foundation of their religion. It appears it was no coincidence that the sun god Apollo's legendary birthday is at 15 degrees Taurus on May 7th on the sacred Greek island of Delos. On this horoscopic chart dated 274 AD, his ascendant is at 15 degrees Aquarius, sun sign is at 15 degrees Taurus, moon is on the cusp of Scorpio, and Mars is on the cusp of Leo. Interestingly enough, his twin sister Artemis was supposedly born on May 6th, and in some versions of the story she even assisted in his birth as a midwife. Most gods don't have birthdays because they're immortal. Humans perceive illusions that break the laws of physics caused by what is called a parallax, viewing something from different observation points. If the Earth actually had a precessional wobble, changes in the motion of our planets would be observed, but they seem impervious to any precessional forces, and as well Sirius remains relatively stable compared to the other fixed stars. Why is this? The natural conclusion would be Sirius's motion accompanies the precession of the equinox, and is evidently only off by a fraction of a minute. Some believe our solar system is orbiting around Sirius as a partner in a binary star system. Proof of our whole solar system orbiting Sirius cannot be confirmed by our current technology, because the distance of our sun to Sirius is 1 million times the distance from Earth to our sun. The enormity of such a structure boggles the mind and is fodder for sci-fi movies. It makes one wonder if there is someone behind the Oz curtain on a planet near Sirius running the whole show. It's time to wrap this video up. The Taurus Scorpio and Leo Aquarius axis are considered gateways for those traversing heaven and earth. Hypostasis means the foundation, existence, and the essence of God, and a union of three. In theology, this is a life force entity, be it a mythological God or Christ, that is distinguished by both mortal and divine natures. Roman Mithras and Greek Hermes act as psychopomps, soul guides, traversing heaven, earth, and the underworld to usher the living and the dead through these gateways. At this point, the question arises, who is the third party, or perhaps the Holy Spirit sharing this trinity of the binding of heaven and earth? One of the oldest gods in the Egyptian pantheon is the moon god Thoth. I believe he is the Holy Spirit, because the Chi-Rho and Wheel of Fortune symbols clearly spell out his Greek name Thoth, Thoth. The Phoenician letter Tet, Th of an X inside a circle, and the O is the Phoenician letter Aeon, meaning eye. Thoth is known as the left eye of Horus, while the right eye is the eye of their sun god Ra. At heart, Roman Mithras symbolizes the light spirit of Sirius. Egyptian Thoth signifies the moon, and Greek Hermes and his Roman counterpart Mercury are forever linked with our sun's ascendant for entry into the earth. The book that the figures are reading on the Wheel of Fortune card could perhaps be the elusive book of Thoth, containing all the magic and wisdom of the world. The Thema Mundi is far from a simple teaching tool, but embodies a comprehensive ideology of Hellenistic astrology. Sirius is the spiritual sun behind our sun, offering the spark of the soul, and our sun physically shines a ray of the soul down to our moon, and the moon is more or less the staging area before the soul is guided into the conscious world of the living. The gods Hermes, Mercury, and Greco-Egyptian Hermes Trismegistus all carried the famous Carduceus, the serpent-entwined staff, which I believe had been modified through time. The long entwined necks of two lions on this 3000 BC Egyptian Narmer stone are thought to depict the rising sun, or perhaps two rising suns. By 450 BC, the similar shape turned into two serpents outlining the head of Taurus the bull, and it appears the current version of Carduceus has intersections of the entwined serpents representing stages of the rising of twin suns. The lower section is the alignment of Sirius and our sun, then the conjunction, and then the helical rising of Sirius. In the conclusion of my Oak Island series, my first series, the star Tauri Beta was one of the final clues in a multi-layered cipher. Tauri Beta is the tip of the upper horn of Taurus the bull, and appears to be the one star in the Taurus constellation well within the Milky Way. Back then, many of the clues pointed to the two eclipsing stars of Algol, considered the blinking eye of Medusa, located in the Taurus constellation. However, this could actually be inferring two stars instead of an eclipsing binary star system. I have two final comments. The goddess Fortuna's symbol is the star, and the Wheel of Fortune evidently depicts the star Sirius. And most importantly, astrology by its very nature can now be considered a science. I'd like to thank my underpaid and overworked support staff, Pixie and Elsie, Stella the cat, Max my pain-in-the-butt cockatoo, and Chi-Rho, Kai for short, who's coming to live with us soon. Hermes Trismegistus was right. If thou but setteth foot on this path, thou shalt see it everywhere. Let us all have good thoughts, good words, and good deeds through acceptance, peace, and happiness.